especially when you're doing something new, if you're building a startup or a new product, learning is the most important thing. Chances are that you're going to be wrong. Your initial guesses are going to be wrong.
Welcome to Making Things Click, a limited 5-part series that dives into the core ideas of the new book, Click. Join author John Zeratsky as he walks you through the Foundation Sprint, a proven 2-day method to kickstart projects and align them with what customers really want. John is a co-founder and general partner at venture capital firm Character Capital, best-selling author of Sprint and MakeTime, and former design partner at Google Ventures. In this 5th and final episode, John emphasizes the value of exploring multiple solutions early on by using short iteration cycles called tiny loops to increase your chances of building a successful product.
That is the thing that's going to give you the greatest chances of being successful.
If you're new, check out earlier episodes. Episode 1 covers the Foundation Sprint. Episode 2 dives into understanding your customers and competition. Episode 3 explores how to make your product stand out. And Episode 4 shows why exploring multiple solutions before you build can save you time and resources.
There's this wonderful line from the book where Jake says, "I'll show you how to create unlimited chances." I think that makes a lot of sense because if you have enough opportunities to test things, you likely stumble upon something that really works. Love to hear about how you can actually do that.
Yeah. Well, the big problem is that most teams, they build long loops. So what I mean is um, they have an idea, they decide to build it, and then the first thing that they do is build a complete product and they launch it. And that takes months, if not longer. And only after they've launched it do they get any feedback from the market, from their customers on whether it's working. So that's what we call a long loop. You think about build, 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 build. Okay, you launch, you gather some data, you pull that back. We think it's possible to build tiny loops instead. And the primary way that we do that is with design sprints. So this is our 5-day process where we generate ideas. We build a rapid prototype. We test that with customers. What we suggest that teams do at the end of a foundation sprint is to take the founding hypothesis, so this kind of core statement of what we believe is true, and then immediately jump into a design sprint to turn that hypothesis into a concrete prototype that you can put in front of your real customer, and you can immediately find out in a matter of days instead of months whether that hypothesis is true.
Why is this key? Is this just to save time or is there more to this?
Well, every business needs to know if they're going to be successful, right? At some point, you have to find out, like, is this going to work or not? Is this product going to click with customers? And so the default mode, the business as usual approach, is to build that long loop, to build the product, to make it complete, to make sure it works, to figure out the marketing, to launch it, and then see if customers buy it. Which is good. That's a perfectly reasonable way. And if you could do that in a week, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. But most teams can't do that in a week. Even with new capabilities from AI where you can build products faster, it still takes months for people to get something out into the world. And so it's partially about saving time, but it's also, like you said, about giving yourself unlimited chances, giving yourself those opportunities to try things, to learn, because especially when you're doing something new, if you're building a startup or a new product, learning is the most important thing. Chances are that you're going to be wrong. Your initial guesses are going to be wrong. And so you want to set yourself up for as many tiny loops as possible, as many opportunities to learn as possible from the market, from your customers, because that is the thing that's going to give you the greatest chances of being successful.
I guess the idea is that once you got your founding hypothesis, you validate those hypotheses using design sprints.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the thing that's really cool is that you can take your founding hypothesis, and it has 5 components to it. So it's basically, if we help customer solve problem with solution, that's the approach, they will choose it over competitors because our solution is differentiated in this way. So you sort of fill in those blanks. Once you have that, you can directly translate each of those elements into a question that you want to answer in a customer interview when you test your prototype. So you go out, you find 5 of those customers who have that problem. you build a prototype of that solution, you test it against the competition, you make sure that it embodies the differentiation and that, you explain it using those differentiators. And then as you go through those interviews, you just go down the list and you're like, check, 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 check. Like, are those things true? Most teams don't get it right away. Most teams find that they have the right customer problem, and maybe the differentiation's not quite right, the solution's not quite right. But we usually see that within a few weeks, if you do this and you do it again, you run a design sprint again and again and again, eventually those sort of red X's next to each of those elements, they start to turn into green check marks. And once you see all those greens, then you know that it's time to move out of sort of design mode, sprint mode, and move into actually building the product and launching it.
So during the design sprint, you're not creating a working prototype, but rather a mock-up prototype?
It's about creating prototypes that you can use to answer questions. Those prototypes take different forms. Sometimes they are mock-ups. They're, if you're working in software, sometimes they're Figma mock-ups, but increasingly, especially with AI coding tools, we're seeing that those prototypes are often real code. They're real software. They're just not fully complete. Like, it might be a front end without a back end. It might be, the core product experience, but it doesn't have settings page, and it's not scalable, and it has bugs, and there's a whole bunch of things that you would have to fix to launch it. But the essence of it is a prototype, something that you can create quickly. You're prepared to throw it away if it doesn't work, and that it's really designed to help you answer those key questions, including the ones that are in the founding hypothesis.
Thank you for joining us on this final episode of Making Things Click. If you've enjoyed the series, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who want to make their ideas click.